I love you, Allah.
When Makkah threw him out, and 10 years later they were able to return finally, and there was peace in Arabia. When he was able to return, and how did he take Mecca back? Did he take it by force? Did he kill anyone? No. Hearts and minds. People believed this man was right, they were wrong. He is the Prophet of God. Villages and villages, towns and towns, cities and cities embraced Islam and joined him, and they said, let's go to Mecca and talk to the Quraysh. And they came by the thousands from all sides, so the Meccans didn't dare lift a sword. So there was no bloodshed, no fighting. But I just want to finish with how Muhammad entered Mecca. When he entered into Mecca, my dear brothers and sisters, my friends, Muhammad rode on his mule like a king. He was a king. And he was the leader of the Muslims. But when he arrived, he was in shame. He lowered his head. Not like the pompous kings of history who conquer a land and loot and rape and pillage. Muhammad was ashamed. This is a city given by God. This is that place where God will be worshipped. This is not me conquering. This is God's choice. No one fought. There was no fighting. They just came in. And he lowered his head. And the closer he got to Mecca, my dear brothers and sisters, please excuse me if I get emotional, but the sight of him is just so overwhelming. He lowers his head more and more. And he is so embarrassed until his head touched the neck of the mule. He was that ashamed that people would be taken. And you're riding in. People will look at you like you're some kind of king. He said, no, I am just a man. And he lowered his head and tears were coming from his eyes. He was ashamed in front of his Lord. But he not be arrogant and pompous. And he heard someone say, Hada yawm. People remembered what the Qurayshis did to them. They remembered their wives being cut open. They remembered the mother being stabbed in the abdomen in the privates. They remembered many horrible things. The Prophet's own daughter, pregnant, was killed in Mecca. Why? Because they said God is one. The persecution still continues in many places around the world. But how did the Prophet respond? He heard one of them say while crying, while lowering his head, he said, this is the day we're going to get our vengeance. We'll deal with the people who harmed my family. And he panicked and he raised his head and he shouted. He said, La hadha yawmu rahma. No, this is not a day of vengeance. This is a day of mercy. Everyone's forgiven. No one touch anyone. We do not do what they do.